Hi, I'm Melissa Winters, and I'm here at AQS QuiltWeek in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I'm with Connie Griner, who won first place in the Large Quilts Home Machine Quilted category. Congratulations, and it's great to see you again.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's just a thrill to be here, and I'm just so excited to see a blue ribbon hanging on my quilt.
That's always a nice thing to do and get the call and everything like that.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about this quilt. I'm sure it's a very recognized quilt by some people.
Right.
So how did you, what changes did you make in the quilt, and where did you get the pattern?
Well, the pattern is a pattern called Two of Us, which was designed by Sue Nichols and Pat Holly. And I want to thank them a million times over for such an awesome design, because I've had so much fun with this. And my retirement has been much richer for their lovely design. And this design was made available through the quiltshow.com, which is Ricky Timms and Alex Anderson's online magazine.
Oh, okay.
That was their block of the month for 2013.
Oh, okay.
And for people out there who might not know, might not be familiar with them, the Quilt Show actually does a different block of the month every year.
Oh, wow.
And they're always awesome designs like this, and there are lots and lots of the block of the month quilts that have gone on to be ribbon winners in shows.
And now for their block of the month, do you get just the fabric, or do you get the pattern, or do you get both?
You can usually choose.
Okay.
You can just get the pattern, which is free with your membership.
Oh, okay.
Or they usually have kits available.
Oh, wow.
And this actually was the fabric that the colorways that were chosen by Sue and Pat, the designers, to make the quilt. But if you'd like to go ahead and branch out and do something on your own, you're perfectly free to do that as well.
Good. I bet any bright colors would work well with this.
Absolutely.
This pattern, that's for sure. So which changes? Were there any things that you didn't add that they had, or?
Well, yeah, partway through the process of making the quilt, I had this sort of light bulb moment where I went, I really like Sue and Pat's quilt, but I don't want this to be an exact clone of anyone else's quilt. Even if it's only 1% difference, that 1% was
still
kind of
you.
important
It has
to me.
you in the pattern.
So
versus
I
them.
ended up making some changes where I, substituted a few of the flowers that are in the borders, changed the quilting pattern up a little bit, but
And they actually had the year up here.
right,
Correct.
and some birds and some other things that I omitted, but the substance of the quilt is still very much Sue and Pat.
Well, it's still a gorgeous border. I love the flowers that you chose and the color combinations and stuff like that. Now, you do this on a home machine.
Yes, I did the piecing and the applique on my 20-year-old Bernina 1530, which I
nice.
dearly love and still sew on every day.
Right. And then, but on the quilting, you used the Sweet 16.
Right. On the quilting, I did my Sweet 16 long arm sit-down machine, and that made the process possible for me. I tell you, I really tip my hats to Sue and Pat for being able to do this size quilt with that, with the dense quilting that they do and do it on a home machine. I don't think my skill set's quite that good.
Sue, she's got this huge table that she puts it out on. I mean, I've seen her set up, and it's pretty amazing. So, but the Sweet 16's
it's still that little harp space.
Yeah,
though.
it's that little bit of throat, that's for sure. Now, the Sweet 16 is from Handy Quilter, and it's considered, it's called a long arm, but the reason it's in a home machine is because you move the fabric.
Right. And so, AQS is really good about their definitions. If you look in the show materials, their definition of a home machine is any machine that is stationary mounted. Where you move the quilt underneath the machine and not move the machine head.
Yeah.
And long arm is any machine on a movable carriage.
Gotcha.
And that makes it very clear.
So tell us any stories you've got with this quilt, because it's been through several shows.
Yeah, it's been on the circuit for most of the year here. It's actually been in 4 judge shows, and it's won ribbons in 3 out of the 4,
Wow,
which I'm really excited about. But it was in a show earlier this year. There's a great show in Shipshewana, Indiana, which is Indiana's my home state. So I decided to enter it in the show up there and meet my family up there and just kind of make an event of going to the quilt show.
That's how quilt shows usually are.
And arrived at the show and saw my quilt hanging, was all excited like I always am. And then started going down the show, and at the end of the same row where my quilt was hung, it had a twin.
Oh no.
It wasn't an identical twin. It was more of a fraternal twin.
Uh-huh.
You know, they
But you kind of had to do the double take.
right.
Like, didn't I just pass my quilt?
It was kind of that strange feeling that you get, you know, when you go to a party
Uh-huh.
and you and another guest are wearing the same dress. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, it's not that it's not okay, but it still feels a little weird.
So does that mean you're retiring this from
Yeah,
the circuit?
so I took that as a sign, and yeah, I decided that, you know, I've had a lot of fun with it, but you know, it's time for it to come home and hang on my living room wall. So I had already entered it for this show in Chattanooga. So
Oh, it's a good thing you kept it in
that's
the
right,
show. That's
I know.
for sure.
But yeah, after this, we have my local quilt guild, the Almets Peacemakers in Burlington, North Carolina. We currently have a show in an art gallery, which is kind of fun,
nice. That
called
is
Point of
good.
View. So when I drive the quilt home this weekend, then it will go over to the art gallery and hang there
Oh, great.
until the end of October, and then it'll be on my living room wall.
Oh, well, that'll be a very cheery quilt for your living room wall.
Absolutely.
So you're working on something new then to enter for next year?
Yeah, I've got some things that are in the works. I'm trying to do a more complex pieced quilt that involves pickle dish blocks. So we'll see how far I get with that.
Well, we would love to see that finished and at one of our shows. So congratulations, Connie, and it's great to see you again.
Thank you.